Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. I have some big news and analysis for you this week. It's the kind of stuff that you are not going to hear on the mainstream media. It is not what the politicians, most of them, are going to put on Facebook and other social media outlets. And after I give you this news, you're probably going to feel like this. Yes, if I had any hair left, I'd go ahead and pull it out after what has happened here in Kentucky. And here's what we've got. For the last several weeks, I have had all kinds of Kentuckians. Every day, there will be dozens of them that will call, email, write, text, and say, Mr. Watts, please help me. I'm about to lose my job because they are saying I have to take this vaccine or I have to wear a mask. And I don't believe with it. I don't agree with it. I don't want to inject these foreign chemicals into my body. I think it's bad. I think they may be using dangerous for me. Please tell me there's something that can protect me. And my answer has been, I'm sorry to tell you, there is no law right now to protect you. But we have been looking forward to the General Assembly coming into special session because Andy Beshear has been kind of hinting at that all summer, saying he's going to call them in and then there will be an opportunity to have you get some protection. Well, sure enough, the special emergency session of the legislature happened just this past week. And this is what we got out of it. Again, this is not what you're going to hear on the mainstream media, and it's not what most of the politicians are going to be putting on social media. And that's why I hope you tune in. And this is why I hope you share this video. This one, more than anything else, I hope goes viral in the state of Kentucky. Here's what they did to you. First of all, we'll start with some good news. The legislature said the governor, Andy Beshear, he is not allowed to close churches. He is not allowed to close schools. He is not allowed to close businesses. He's not allowed to give you a mask mandate. He's not allowed to give you a vaccine mandate. They basically said, Andy, you're not allowed to do anything because you've been a bad boy. And so that's all great. But don't stop there because the politicians are going to stop there telling you, and that's what we passed. I've said this before during the legislative session. Just because a bill will contain some good things, that does not give it a free pass to get approved if it also contains bad things. And this is where you get some legislators say, oh, well, I'm for pro-life and I'm for pro-guns. That's great. But that doesn't give a free pass for you to vote for all this other stuff, which is taking away the liberty of the people. And here is the bad part of what just got approved. These same things that said the governor can't do it to you, the legislature just approved for the local level to do to you. They can issue all of these mandates. It is exchanging one tyrant for 1,000 different tyrants. If it was wrong for the governor to issue these mandates, then it is wrong to empower local levels to do the exact same things to the people. And this should not have been approved, and they are sure not going to tell you about that. But this is one of the big problems. Now, one of the reasons that this could have been good, there were multiple amendments that were filed that would have protected you from having mandatory vaccines or losing your job, that would have protected you from all of these other things. And these amendments that were filed in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, all of them were defeated or called out of order using parliamentary procedure rules. And this is complete baloney. I am calling a red flag, saying this is just playing politics. Let me give you an example. For 12 years, I've worked at the Kentucky Capitol as a volunteer chaplain. And I remember watching when the legislative session, when the Democrats were in charge of the House of Representatives, pro-abortion party. Well, the minority party, the Republicans, would want to get some pro-life bills passed or amendments. So they would bring those up, and the Speaker of the House would say, oh, your pro-life stuff is all out of order for this parliamentary procedure rule. So they do a procedural vote and it would be voted down. And it doesn't matter because the group would go and they'd correct the supposed problem and then they'd bring it back the next day saying, hey, we want this pro-life amendment on here. And then the Speaker of the House would say, no, there's another parliamentary procedure problem and you're out of order, so you're not allowed to do it for another reason. And they would fix these problems day after day after day. And it didn't matter how many things they fixed. Every single time they tried to bring up a pro-life bill or amendment, it would always be called out of order. That is complete parliamentary procedure gamesmanship. And that is exactly the same thing that the legislature just did to every single amendment that would have protected you from getting mandatory vaccines before you lose your job. It was parliamentary procedure gamesmanship. It has no place in Kentucky. It is wrong and it never should have been done. And now we got a bunch of Republicans who are the ones who just did it to you. These same bills and amendments that would have protected you were filed on the exact same day within minutes of the other bills that were filed, and they were all fine. It was just a chance to kill all of these with political parliamentary procedure gamesmanship. It was incredibly frustrating to see the party who had had to suffer under that to do the exact same thing to liberty-minded legislators. We did have a few in the Senate and in the House who stood up and fought tooth and nail for your rights, trying to protect you from losing your job versus being injected with these things that you don't agree with, that you think are dangerous, that you don't need because you have an immune system. Maybe you've already gotten over it. All of these things. So there were some fighting for you, and then there was a bunch of these people who should be voted out of office because they just use political parliamentary procedure games to kill every single one of those. They wouldn't even let the amendments come up for a vote. They just do a parliamentary procedural vote and they would try to kill it that way. And that's where they're going to try to excuse themselves, saying, well, I wasn't voting on the bill, I was voting on the procedure. Baloney, suckers. You were doing this to kill these bills and amendments, and it was completely wrong. Now, some of the legislators are saying, well, we didn't want to tell employers what they have to do because we don't think that we should be telling businesses how they should run their business. Again, I'm saying baloney, sucker, and here's the reason why. There are already a mountain of regulations that the legislature has put on Kentucky businesses. They will tell them, hey, you are not allowed to hire people this age. You must pay people at least this much. You must provide this much coverage. You must conduct your business in such a way as we say is safe or healthy. You can't even sell certain things to certain people, is what they will tell them. Did you know in Kentucky you are not allowed to buy a water heater for your own home? You can if you live in Indiana, you can if you live in Tennessee or neighboring states, but in Kentucky, legislature says, no, you're not allowed to buy one. Businesses, you're not allowed to sell that to the average person. You got to have a special thing to get that. A special thing which, by the way, the government will get a cut of in these licenses. So there's already a mountain of regulations on businesses. So I don't want to hear one of these people say that it wasn't because we didn't want to tell businesses how to run things. They seem to be a little hypocritical here. They'll tell them how they have to do any and everything when it comes to how they're going to run their business. But when it comes to something that would have protected the liberty of the people, then they say, oh, well, we wouldn't want to tell them how to run their business. Complete hypocrisy, and I'm calling them out for it. I have no doubt this is going to cost me a lot of dear friends at the Capitol. And just because I disagree with your policies and I think your policies are terrible, that doesn't mean that I don't love you. And I know a lot of them aren't going to believe that. I don't agree with the policies of the Democrats, being anti-religious liberty and pro-abortion and anti-guns. And yet I've ministered to those people and at the same time called out those policies as being horrible. And this is the exact same thing I'm having to do, and I hope that they can appreciate that, though I imagine many of them will not. And it's cost me dearly to do that, but this is something which must be stood up for and it must be defended. And that's why we need to get a bunch of people into office who are going to defend our rights. I had an opportunity to sit down this week with one such person. His name is Andrew Cooperrider. He's a small business owner. You may remember him because earlier last year, he's the one who said, I'm going to keep my business open when Andy Beshear says I have to close. And he is of the opinion that, hey, the governor can't just make up laws. And so he took the governor to court saying, I have the right to stay open. And he won that battle and stayed open when everybody else was closed. And then went on to help other business owners also fight against Beshear and his mandates and help them get back open. And now he is now running for the Kentucky State Senate up there in Frankfort. I had a chance to sit down with him. His name is Andrew Cooperrider, and let's listen to the interview. Hello, Patriots. Sitting here today with Mr. Andrew Cooperrider, small business owner who is now running officially for the Kentucky State Senate. Andrew, welcome to Patriot Point.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, one of the first and primary questions that we have here on Patriot Point is questions about our religious rights and our constitutional liberties. Mm-hmm. So let's start off with like the Second Amendment. Big topic for us.
Sure.
What is your position on the Second Amendment?
Well, I think Kentucky right away has got to become a Second Amendment sanctuary state as a whole. We have to have nullifying of federal gun laws right out of the gate, and the fact that it's taken the supermajority Republican legislature so long to do it is very concerning. And so, right out of the gate, we have to make sure we really solidify the Second Amendment in Kentucky.
All right. Well, I know there have been bills proposed for that. Maybe you can help get those passed into law.
Sure.
And then one of the primary first topic issues for a lot of the people who watch is the right to life. Mm-hmm. So tell us where you stand on the right to life / abortion issue.
Yeah, so I've already been attacked for having, quote unquote, the most extreme view on abortion. If you go to my campaign page, you go to issues under abortion, it just says no. That's all it says, just no. And so I was called the most misogynistic candidate to ever run for the 12th district. And I said, that's impossible. I let my wife carry the heavy end of things, okay? And so, but, you hear a lot of Republican candidates all the time talk about how they're against abortion, but it's weird. They still continue to vote to fund things like the ambulatory services, the hospital that provides ambulatory services for the abortion clinic. And, how often do you even see them standing up for it? I mean, have you seen any of these people that say they stand for abortion rights ever trying to do sidewalk ministry out in front of the abortion clinic in Louisville?
Right, you never do.
It's just always such hollow words. So when I say I'm against abortion, I mean it.
All right. Well, that's very encouraging. Now tell me, what do you think is the single biggest reason that you would be needed in the Kentucky State Senate?
Well, right now, I believe the Republican legislator has gotten so used just compromising away everything they stand for and not standing on the platform they say they believe in by saying Republicans, that there needs to be somebody in there to shake them up, say, hey, we got to uphold the Constitution, both state and federal, and we've got to start delivering on the promises that we're doing. They're so addicted to needing to get voted for to solve your problems, they end up never solving them for you because then they're worried you might not elect them. So we need to get some problems solved, and people who don't want to be in politics forever like myself to go ahead and encourage them to get that done.
Well, I definitely think they need something to shake up the process. Very excited about that. All the time talking about how the Republicans in name only are some of the biggest problems that we have in our state and even the nation. The Republican principles we can agree on.
Yes.
It's those people who are saying the Republicans that aren't standing up for those principles.
Right. Exactly.
So tell me, what can people do throughout the state of Kentucky right now that can help you to take this seat?
And so the number one thing people need to do is they need to put their money where their mouth is, right? They want to see a change, they want to see a difference, and put money behind great candidates, and hopefully they view me as a great candidate, and donate some money. Even if it's just $20, $50, it all adds up, it all matters. And I hear all the time from people say, well, I'm not in the 12th district, why should I donate? Listen, the Pfizer CEO also isn't in the 12th district, but that didn't stop them from donating to some candidates priorly in the 12th district, right? So these laws affect everybody in the state, and it is worthwhile to make sure as many good people as possible get in. Andrew 4, the number 4, KY.com.
Well, wonderful. Anything you want to add?
Hey guys, just go out there and and support those candidates you've said. I know a lot of you guys have been showing up to protest, emailing, calling. I know that. I've been a part of activism. I've been seeing the emails and calls go through, so I know you guys have been active. But all those times you've said you've been upset and you've wanted to see a difference, get out there and make that happen by supporting great candidates. And if you can't find one in a race against somebody you really don't like, think about stepping up yourself and running.
We're talking about that during this week's program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, perfect timing. Well, thank you, Mr. Cooperrider. I appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail.
Thank you, sir.
So that's the interview with Mr. Cooperrider. He's only one of multiple people now who are starting to step up and say, I am willing to run for office. The leftists are willing to run for office. They make time. I hope you'll make time, or you will be able to support somebody who is going to do this. Because if we, the liberty-minded patriots, if we don't take time to file to run for office or to give to a good candidate, then we're just going to get more of the same, and we'd only have ourselves to blame for it. So that's some of the things that have been going on this past week. What was good that happened, what is bad that happened, and some of the dangers that we are facing out there. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. We need liberty-minded people to stand up, step up, give to good candidates, or become a candidate yourself. We must be informed and we must be involved. Let me tell you one of the ways that you can be involved. There is a wonderful event that's going to be going on tomorrow. I'm recording this on Friday. This will be happening tomorrow, September the 18th. It is the second annual Constitutional Kentucky Liberty Dinner and Silent Auction. I hope you can come out for this evening. They're going to have door prizes, some incredible speakers, live music, a delicious meal, plus a live auction. This year's keynote speaker is the Turning Point USA ambassador and South Korean immigrant known as Kangim Lee. If I said that correctly, please forgive me if I didn't. You're also going to have a chance to meet Kentucky congressional candidate Chris Henning for Congress. This is an amazing fella, and I hope you get a chance to meet him. I hope you also get to see the wonderful panel that they have called Exodus: Fleeing Tyranny, The Road to Freedom. It is going to be featuring Irina Baptiste, a Cuban immigrant, and also Slavik Drodz, an Ukrainian immigrant, and more. These incredible speakers have all escaped the tyranny and oppression of communist Marxist socialism. And now these are staunch American freedom fighters. This would be a great civics lesson or outing for students, and they also offer a student rate for tickets. You can get your tickets before they run out. That's the Constitutional Kentucky's second annual Liberty Dinner, Saturday, September the 18th in Shelbyville, Kentucky. And you can just visit constitutionalkentucky.com to get more information. Well, that's a lot of things this week. You're probably a lot of frustrated about what has happened to you, what has failed to happen to protect you. But don't be without hope, because election season is coming. For those who are good, send them back. For those who are bad, support somebody who's going to replace them. Because as I always say, liberty is not a spectator sport.